Did it change it so that you level up quicker in this
So they changed the
compared
rates.
to the classic Maple Story?
8.
Because I don't remember ever leveling up this quickly. It was always such a grind. I would grind for like a couple days or something before I get a level.
It'll get like that.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be like that when you're higher level.
I wish it was this easy to get money in real life.
It's a lot. Time is more valuable than money.
True. Life lessons from Maple Story.
It's like, my group member's like, oh, I'm trying to enter like a legend in Google Sheets, but it won't let me make a title.
And you're like, we don't need a legend.
And everyone's kind of, it won't let me like enter the text in the legend. And our group just kind of like didn't answer her, and she's like asking again.
Yeah. And everyone's still ignoring her?
Well, and then one of my group members was like, oh, like we're gonna submit it as a Word doc anyway, so don't worry about the legend because we can format it somewhere else. And she's like, I've been spending like the past hour on this. I'm like, shit, man, don't.
Yo,
Just
she's fucking stupid then. What a waste of time. Why would you spend an hour on such an insignificant problem? Use your time more effectively. Jeez.
Yeah, time is worth everything, man. Don't take up the money.
Yeah, don't format the fucking axis. What time are you planning to grind Maple Story until? Or is it entirely dependent on my level and not on the time of the night?
I don't have to sleep tonight.
I mean, I don't have to sleep.
Okay.
Wait.
But I'm pretty tired.
Oh, never mind. Yes, cool. Yeah, I'm pretty tired too.
Wait, you're level 20, right? I want to get you to 30. I kind of want to get you to 30. I think it's possible.
Did you just nut?
Gasm. To 3,300 trophies in Clash.
Hey. Is that your PB? What deck are you playing now?
I'm still doing the log bait. I like that. I feel like I'm most comfortable with that.
Classic log bait?
I started Goblin Barrel, Knight, Princess, Log, Goblin Gang.
Are you using Tesla or Inferno?
I tried Tesla, but I like Inferno better.
I like the placement of Inferno better, yeah. I think it's also a little... The placement's weird, but it does a lot better against Hog. And I don't know if you see a lot of Hog where you're at, but there's more Hog up where I'm at than like Giant or whatever, or Golem.
Oh, you think Tesla works better against Hog?
Yeah, because it's cheaper and it still stops the Hog. Like, there's no point of like surviving Inferno when you're playing against Hog Cycle. Like, Inferno does bad against everything in Hog Cycle except for Hog. But then it costs 1 elixir, so like in double elixir, it's gonna be bad because then you're gonna every time they cycle Hog, you're gonna play like Inferno Tower, and then you just keep falling behind in cycle because it costs you like 1 more to defend than he does to attack.
Yeah.
But like that's why like
why people.
Yeah.
I like the placement too. Cause like
when
you place Tesla.
Tesla has a weird placement.
Directly in the center, and sometimes it doesn't aggro the
yeah, you have to get used to it. It's different from every other building in the game.
But
when you use Inferno and you face a lot of Hog, like usually the strategy is the first time they play Hog, you stop Hog with Ice Spirit, Goblin Gang. Like if you time it correctly, like you play it instantly the moment you see Hog, that should stop all damage from Hog. And it costs the same amount of elixir, and you have like a 3 elixir Goblin Gang counter push. And they shouldn't prediction log on the first the first hog they play, because then they don't know what you're playing, right? So it should be safe to do that. But then on all subsequent hog pushes, you usually would switch to Inferno Tower, because then they might start prediction. They might start prediction logging when they play the hog. So then you like mix it up with like you switch between blocking with Inferno or Goblin Gang so that they can't tell.
Oh, interesting.
And then like when they start like noticing you do a lot of Inferno Tower, they might start doing prediction fireballs, and that's when you switch back to Goblin Gang. So you have to like read your opponent and just roll with their punches and try to like play mind games with them.
Doesn't the fireball still destroy the Goblin Gang?
It does, but like if they're trying to prediction fireball your Inferno Tower, usually you play Inferno Tower like the middle-ish, right? So then their fireball will be slanted to the left of your tower, or it will be slanted towards the center of your side. So then if you play Goblin Gang on the opposite side, yeah, on the outside of your Princess Tower, the fireball shouldn't touch it. And like, do you know the tricky placements for the barrel?
Like if you Goblin Barrel?
Yeah, because there's like 3 major, actually there's 4 major placements. The first, like usually when you play your first barrel of the game, you would play it on like the outside front, like the side that's facing you, but on the outside, because that's the anti-tornado position. I don't know if you see a lot of tornado where you're at.
I see it sometimes, but typically I don't worry about it.
Okay, well, once like you get to the point where you see a lot of tornado, you would play your first barrel in that position, because like if they manage to activate your king, their king tower off of your Goblin Barrel without,
pretty screwed.
Yeah, then you're pretty much screwed for the rest of the game. So that's why you want to put that placement. And then like the basic placement obviously is when you split it 3-way. But then like after like a few normal Goblin Barrels where you split it 3-way, you want to do like a trick. If you notice they have lock, or zap, you should do like a tricky barrel. So you just like throw it behind their Princess Tower, like an extra 2 squares, like 1 or 2 squares. And then like it's really, if like they're not used to seeing a lot of barrels, like you actually have to practice defending it. Like if they haven't practiced against a lot of Goblin Barrel before, they won't be able to tell that the barrel is actually about to go deeper than it usually does, and their log and zap will miss your barrel. And then you'll get less hits than if you did like the standard 3-way split hit, but you'll get hits. Because like usually log should completely stop it, but like you can still get like 4 to 5 stabs if you make them miss with that. And like to the untrained eye, they won't be able to tell a difference. It'll look exactly the same. If they do a normal log, they'll miss it. They have to do a deep log. Yeah, and then the final placement is the front barrel. Like you barrel like right to the front of the Princess Tower. And the reason you want to do that is if you notice, because like it's possible to play a skeleton army or a Goblin Gang, and if you perfectly time it, you can completely stop the barrel. So if you notice that they're doing that every single time you play the barrel, you play the Goblin Barrel to the front of their tower, and then you do a prediction log, and then their Goblin Gang or Skarmy will die the moment your log reaches, and then you should get like a completely healthy Goblin barrel on their tower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like you have to like be wary of what your opponent is playing and how they're defending your barrel. So like if you notice they're logging all the time, do deep barrels occasionally, but don't do deep barrels every single time, because if they pick up on that, it's easier to counter a deep barrel with Skarmy or a Goblin Gang. So yeah, if you notice they're doing Skarmy or Goblin Gang, you switch to the front barrel. If you notice they're doing a lot of log and zap, you switch to the back barrel. And sometimes they have to like do a desperation fireball, because they don't log in cycle or zap in cycle, so they switch to fireball. And that's also when the deep barrel would make them miss, because the fireball usually is like right on top of the tower, and if you're just outside the radius, you'll miss. Yeah, and I see a lot of noobs like thinking they can do like a tricky barrel by like throwing like in the far back corner, or like throwing off to the side by a space. But the problem with that is like you can tell from the trajectory of the barrel that it's like a tricky barrel. Whereas if you just do like the slightly shifted towards the back of the tower, it's really hard to tell.
Oh, okay. So you can't go all the way in the corner. It's like a certain angle.
Yeah, like just like literally your very basic goblin barrel placement. Just shift it back like 2 tiles. Like don't make sure you don't shift it to the left or the right. If you shift it to the left, it's going to activate King Tower. If you shift it to the right, they'll be able to see in the trajectory that is the tricky barrel, and they'll be able to read it and counter it with like basically any troop.
I've climbed the most with that deck.
The what deck?
And one that I tried today, with that Goblin Barrel deck.
Okay, yeah.
So that's the one I climbed the most with, and then the one I was using today that I just learned how to use is the Lava Loon.
I am so shit at Lava Loon. That's like my worst archetype.
Oh really?
I cannot. I just don't understand it. It's such a weird card, and it's so weird because like I'm used to playing like every other deck in the game is like ground troop based. Like there'll be a mix of ground troops and air troops, or it'll be exclusively ground troop. And like Lava Loon is like almost exclusively air troop, and it's just so weird because then you have to always make sure that you have like one ground troop in your hand to counter stuff. But at the same time, I don't know. It's just so weird. And it's like a 7 elixir flying tank. It's like I can't deal with it. I don't know. Like Lava Loon is weird to me.
It.
Yeah.
Like at first I was like doing random shit. I was like, I don't get how to get my Lava Hound to the tower. Like it keeps.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. But I realized you're supposed to use the Lava Hound to tank for your balloon, right? And then once it explodes, you have a whole bunch of air units, and you throw the minions on top of that. It's like pretty hard to deal with for most decks.
Yeah, well that's why it's like always been popular in the meta, and it used to be like the strongest archetype too. Do you see like the new variants of Lava Hound? There's like Lava Hound Triple Dragon with like Miner. Like Lava Loon used to be the dominant Lava Hound deck, but like now the dominant Lava Hound deck tends to be like Miner Lava Hound. Because then the idea is like the Miner will tank for all the pups, right?
Yeah.
And usually that deck would have like a Lumberjack in there too to rage up everything. And it usually has Baby Dragon and Electro Dragon and Inferno Dragon. But it's so weird because there's like no ground troops. You literally only have like Tombstone and Barb Barrel in that one. And Miner, I guess, but you kind of want to reserve Miner for offense. It's weird, like in those decks, sometimes you have to Miner on defense, but like I'm just not used to that. I'm used to exclusively using Miner on offense, like right on top of the Princess Tower. So I can't tell like when a situation calls for a defensive Miner. Like I don't know when is a good time to do that. And like when you do that, it kind of like fucks up your cycle because you kind of need that Miner to do the whole offensive push with your
offense, right?
Yeah, so then if it's out of your hand, it's like, okay, you just defended with a Desperation Miner, and now how do you attack? I don't know. It's everything with Lava Hound is just weird to me. And like playing against it is weird to me too. I'm just like, I don't know.
I thought that it was kind of hard for me like to understand it at first, just because it's a high elixir card.
Yeah.
And like I'm used to thinking like, oh, low elixir is the best because you can cycle like super fast and like do whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, pros tend to.
I kind of get it now.
Pros tend to prefer. Yeah. Pros actually tend to prefer like low elixir cycle decks, because like it's like maybe the win rate for those decks are lower, and maybe they'll have like more hard matchups, but it's more possible to outplay your opponent with a cycle deck than if you're a heavy deck and you got countered. Like if you're playing Golem and they have Inferno Tower and you don't have Lightning in your deck, you're kind of just fucked. But like if you're playing like 2.6 Hog or like Expo Cycle, like you can still find ways to like outcycle and outplay and finesse your opponent even if you have a bad matchup. So that's why pros tend to prefer those decks, because like it's always possible to win no matter how bad the situation is. Whereas if you play like some of the heavier decks, like sometimes it could just be like you get a bad matchup and it's like rock paper scissors, you just automatically lose. That's never a good thing. But then I'm like not a pro, so I need that rock paper scissors to get me the dub.
I've also tried, I tried a Mortar Bandit deck. I still don't really understand how it works.
Mortar Bandit. I didn't know that was meta. Like Mortar Bandit and Miner with bait cards.
I don't have Miner. I don't have Miner.
Oh, was this supposed to be a Miner in that deck, or did you just make that deck up?
I saw it on a guide. It was like,
Oh.
it's like Mortar. You have a Mortar, Bandit, arrows. You have like a Knight or something, and archers.
That's surprising to me, cause like I'm not familiar with that one. Cause like in the last, like I'd say the entirety of last year, the only Mortar decks that have been viable is Mortar Bait. So it would be like Mortar and a bunch of log bait cards / fireball bait cards like Rascals, Goblin Gang, Minion Horde, those kind of cards, Bats, Spear Goblins, and then with Miner. And I don't actually really know why it works so well. I think the idea is just that bait is really strong on defense on your side of the map, and like Mortar forces the opponent to play on your side because you attack from your side. So I think that's why it's effective. And it's cheap as well, unlike Expo, so that's why Bait doesn't synergize with Expo, but it synergizes with Mortar. And then Miner's just there to like, I don't know, is super effective on offense with bait cards, with surviving bait cards. But like before this Mortar Bait meta, in the past, like Mortar cycle is really viable. It would be Mortar, Arrow, Zap, Log. It'll be like a bunch of cheap spells with Mortar, and then like Archer's Knight, Goblin, and like that was viable. But I think it's because they nerfed Mortar a few times. It's no longer viable. But like ladder used to be all like that Mortar because it's a common win condition, so that means you can overlevel it.